Khouri. He is a distinguished public policy fellow at the American University of Beirut. He joins us live from Boston, Massachusetts. Very good to have you on the program. Help us understand this current situation where you have Donald Trump boasting to the world on Truth Social, saying that there is a ceasefire in place. The war is over. The world is going to remember this as the 12-day war. And then you have in Iran this victory statement saying that, in fact, it was Donald Trump who rushed to them following that strike on that U.S. airbase in Qatar, pleading for peace. And now we have missile strikes in Israel with at least 3 people who appear to have died in that strike. Help us understand the situation.
Well, the first thing we can understand is that social media is not a very good platform to use to negotiate a peace between 2 very fierce adversaries, Iran and Israel, and especially when the would-be mediator is trying to win a Nobel Peace Prize or to be named Time Magazine's Man of the Year. This is part of the personality of Donald Trump. It's also part of the contradiction that the U.S. foreign policy has to deal with, that it is committed by law, congressional law, to keep Israel stronger than all of its foes in the region, Arab or Iranian or others. And at the same time, it's trying to be friendly with the Arab Gulf states, to make deals, and try to be a mediator to bring more peace to the region so that business can flow and everybody can benefit. It's hard to balance all of those things at the same time. The reality is that Iran and Israel would like to not be at war, but the fact that the U.S. joined this war on the Israeli side makes this very difficult because achieving a ceasefire will only happen when terms of a ceasefire can be reasonably fair to both sides, and as in any ceasefire. And the Israelis don't want a fair ceasefire. We saw this in Gaza. They want to dominate the region. They want to be the signal callers, the people who determine what countries can do in the region, and to assert the dominance of Israeli sovereignty and security over the sovereignty and security of all the other countries in the region. It's pretty much achieved this with all the Arab countries. Turkey and Iran are the 2 that it has not done that with, because those are big, strong, ancient countries. So there's a lot of really difficult dimensions to this, but I think the core issue is the unwillingness of Israel to make the kind of concessions to bring about an equitable peace that's fair to Iran and fair to Israel at the same time, because that's the only kind of ceasefire or peace that will last. Same in the Palestine-Gaza situation as well.
So you're talking about concessions on the Israeli side. We've only so far heard about concessions from the Iranians, that they have to give up their nuclear program. They can't enrich uranium in their country. What kind of concessions are you looking for from the Israelis?
The main concession is that Israel should accept to abide by international law and UN resolutions and pertinent agreements like the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the IAEA inspections and things like that. Iran cannot possibly make a ceasefire or peace agreement. I mean, peace agreement is further down the road, but to end the fighting and negotiate a permanent good relationship cannot possibly be done by Iran unless it is allowed to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes in Iran or in some combination of a consortium in the region. And this is what the arrangement was before with the JCPOA that Trump unilaterally ended some years ago. That's the main consideration. The second one, which is a derivative of that, but more quietly behind the scenes, Israel has to give up the idea that its security and sovereignty and interests are to have priority over the security and sovereignty and rights and interests of all the other people in the Middle East. This has been the case really since the end of World War II, when the United States took over from Great Britain as the patron imperial power supporting Israel. And the Americans have done this consistently. They've always leaned to the Israeli side. This has to end in a way that is fair to Israel and to all the other Arab countries. The Arab peace plan is an expression of the willingness of all the Arabs and 51 Muslim countries, I think, to live peacefully with a Jewish majority state of Israel if it lives peacefully with a Palestinian state, and of course ends the genocide in Gaza right now. So there are ways to do that, to make Israel feel safe and secure, and at the same time have the Palestinians achieve their national rights, and all the other countries in the region, Lebanon, Syria, many countries have qualms and complaints about Israel. So Israel has to make some concessions. And these are doable. None of them are catastrophic for Israel or an existential threat. And of course, any kind of ceasefire or a peace negotiation is going to have massive international support and participation. Initially, the U.S. is running this show, but eventually, for a longer-term peace and the end of conflict, there has to be participation by other people. So really the sovereignty of Iran and by extension all of the other states in the region is one of the things that's really at stake here. And the Iranians are willing to make the kinds of demands that are made on them to reduce the amount of enriched uranium, to share it with other people.
All right, Rami Khouri, we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here on TRT World, where we're still following the news regarding this possible ceasefire as announced by Donald Trump.